Clearly, plenty of events happening across Africa's biggest economy. Let's expand this conversation now. Melanie is live in London. Sumitra Nydoo is in Johannesburg, South Africa. They join us live on the line. Sumitra, let's start with you. What's the latest on the developments at Lanxess chrome mine in Rustenburg?
Well, Rama, we do know that negotiations are going on between the union and management, but we haven't heard anything as yet in terms of any confirmed reports on whether strike action will continue tomorrow. Of course, the situation got really tense today. About 10 protesters getting injured, even security guards from the mine also being injured because of, the firing of rubber bullets. So really concerning that issue, but we're not too sure whether the strike is going to continue tomorrow.
Indeed. Let's divert briefly, Melanie, if you will, away from the mining sector onto car makers. Mercedes Benz had indicated its intent last month to invest quite a bit into South Africa's production plant. Will they still do that, given the wildcat strike that they saw this year?
Well, Emma, these kind of labour disputes threaten to put plans on hold. Mercedes Benz was planning to make its manufacturing operation in South Africa bigger. Productivity from the plant has been strong over the years, and they predict this strength to continue. The expansion would take time, effort and long-term investment. The fear now is that investors won't be interested in being part of the deal. Some analysts predict that foreign investors are going to flee with these impending strikes in the labour market. Manufacturing accounts for about 15% of South Africa's GDP, so disruption in this sector alone could cause very unwelcome ripples across the economy as a whole, making investors even more cautious.
Indeed. Sumitra, we understand the ANC is engaging directly with COSATU's affiliates right now to sort out the problem that COSATU actually faces. Why this tactic right now when there's clearly quite a bit of agitation on the labour union front? Seems like a bit of a case of skewed priorities here.
That's right, Rama. You know, some analysts are calling it really odd. They say that the ANC is now undermining the independence of the union. Of course, COSATU is the mother body here. It is the big union in this country. All of the sub-unions fall under it. But for the ANC to actually be holding a meeting, analysts feel that, it shouldn't be the right thing to do. From the ANC's perspective, some of the reports that we're getting is really because the situation has gotten so serious, they need to make some sort of intervention. So we're not too sure what's going on behind closed doors, but analysts seem to think that there's a lot more that's running under the surface. But of course, you're having all sorts of you're having different quarters coming into the fray here because the situation is getting so serious, and it doesn't look like a resolution is in sight.
Indeed. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, Melanie. Currency. South Africa's rand down 13% so far this year, down 6% in the last fortnight alone. Do analysts see a floor to the rand's decline, or are they sitting back and saying, we'll wait until the free fall is over?
Well, it's still looking like an uncertain picture for the rand. The rand touched a 4-year low today, breaking key resistance levels. The labour tension is being blamed. That being said, the South African Finance Minister is calling the rand's sharp fall a bit of an overreaction, and some analysts are pointing to the continued foreign selling of local bonds weighing on the rand, interestingly highlighting that selling seems to be part of a global rotation out of bonds rather than an explicit decision to sell South African bonds specifically. Either way, if the selling continues and the strikes get uglier, then the rand will continue to come under significant pressure in the coming weeks.
Irrational or not, Sumitra, is the fact that the rand has depreciated because of investor sentiment around the labour tensions in South Africa. Could that perhaps be the trigger that gets governments, the unions and companies on the table to get a swift resolution to end the tension?
Many analysts seem to think so, Rama. We saw today, which was a new development, the finance minister speaking in Parliament today and actually calling for some sort of urgent action because of the consequences this strike action is having, not only on the rand, but on the overall economy. Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan raising his concerns about what this is going to do to the unemployment issue that we have in this country. Unemployment rate is still very high. How are we going to fix this? The economy is really weak at the moment, and he called on government, Labour, business, all to work together to resolve this. That was a new development because this is not his space. The Mines Minister, you would have thought, would have stepped in and said something, but we haven't heard anything there. But I think considering that the Finance Minister has come out and said this, means that he's really concerned about what's going on. I mean, just a few days when we spoke about the strike action that was happening, the rand was at around 9.43, and the next technical level from there was 9.50. Today we surpassed that and we moved to 9.58. So the rand's decline is happening quite fast, and it is really, it looks like it's related to all of the strike action.
Indeed. Let's see what the reaction from the macro environment will be. We'll have to be there for the time being. That's CCTV Sumitra, Nydoo live in Johannesburg, and Melanie live in London.